Here's an art demo now of what is St Michael's Church up in the Cascob Valley in Radnorshire. I'll tell you now why I've been drawn to paint this. When I was in my early 20s, about 22 years of age, I was a minister in this area. It's my first church. A little place called Achill, just outside Prestine. And often when I'd go walking, leave the back door and with the dog, visiting the farms, because every deacon, bar one, was an actual hillside farmer. And I would leave the back door, take the dog with me, leave the back door and cross Offa's Dyke, which was the old dyke dug by King Offa back through the centuries between Wales and England. So I'd cross the dyke and then through a couple of fields, having got over the River Lug, and I would come to what was the yew tree farm, see Mrs. Richards. Then I'd go on from there up to the Cascob Valley, to the rectory farm. Then I'd get to the top of, well, almost top of the valley, to Mrs. Price, the mill. And she lived opposite this church here. And then I would make my way to the side of the valley, down Cascob Valley, call it the Dyffryn, Penry Thomas, farmer, and then his son Raymond at Catray Farm. And precious memories of times up there. So the lovely thing with art, you can just revisit times of your life like I'm doing now. And that's lovely, isn't it? What I'm doing, I'm just taking my time here. With buildings, you can't rush a building. Got to take your time, make sure everything is running as it should. Getting the dark in here now. On this side. A lot of the churches, the towers, they're timber frame towers, you know, which is quite amazing. So we're going to get a cast shadow along here, look. So I'm just putting that in there. And it's similarly in here. And what I want to do before that actually dries off, what I want to do is get a sense of the moss that you've got on the you have on the actual roofs here, you know. So I'll drop a little bit of that in, I think, just here and there, and let it spread. And just let that merge into the other colour that's there. Get a little bit up in there as well, I think, up in here. A little bit in there. Yeah, so there we go. I won't be able to do a lot. I'm keeping away from the actual foliage and everything else. And all I want to do is get the basic colours in for the church itself. When I came up here the first time, it was quite eerie actually, I was on my own. I went in, those are the days when churches were locked, you know. And yeah. And there was an old almanac on the wall, and there was a plaque for how to exorcise witches and that. I don't know if it's still there now, but it used to be. So a little bit eerie. So yeah, all I'm using burnt umber really, and dropping a little bit of cobalt blue in with it. Let's have a look here. And I think you know, once I've done the basic shape, that's about all I can do. I think we'll have to call it a day then. Yeah, got to watch here now. That's white. So, go and run ahead with myself there. And let's get some darks in here, I think. And that would cast a shadow down there. And also, you'd have some cast shadow under the eaves of this roof. So let's see. You always take your life in your hands when you do this, because you don't want to spread too much. There we go. But I think we'll be all right. Always, you know, if you make mistakes in watercolours, you can always get round them. Don't go worrying about that. That would go across the window, but there too, isn't it? Like that. And then we'd have a bit in here. It would be dark in here. And I think that's about it really for now. Don't do any more than that. I think that's a bit it. We'll get a bit of cast shadow because there's going to be a tree here. It'll be casting shadow along here. So there we are. Okay. And we just get, I think, a little bit of that in shader. There we go. I'll leave it like that for now. Right, a second session now of the church in the Cascob Valley, up in Radnorshire. I was explaining in the first session that I was a minister in this area. My first church was in my early 20s, and got such happy memories of our times here. And I built it all up that bit further with detail, but now got to come to the trees and right. So now I need some darks in here now. So let's get a dark. Where are we at? Yeah, when I first went there, I think I was explaining in the other video the other week. Well, I would have been about just barely 20 then. We went on view. They say on view, a minister goes to a church and he's preaching, and church sort of susses him out and thinks, well, is he the right person for the church here before they actually extend a call for him to be the minister. So we went up there, and I arrived in Cannidod Wells and asked the farmer if he knew what Achill was. And he explained to me, and so Gwyneth and I, we went there. And Peter Beachy was the secretary. He's in glory now, but lovely memories of Peter. So faithful. His dad was a minister who had trained in R.B. Jones's college in the Porth, the Bible Institute there. And then he was a minister, and Peter was born, and just after Peter was born, he passed away. And his widow, Mrs. Beachy, a delightful soul, Mrs. Beachy, she stayed on there. And so Peter grew up in the church, became the secretary, and so faithful. And ever so particular, Peter, everything be just right. I remember he wanted to go underground, and my father managed private mines then, and I took him underground with my father. And Peter was an electrician, and he was absolutely horrified at conditions underground. Never forget that day. And it was so faithful, Peter, and his mother delightful. Then he married Hazel, and they had two lovely girls, Alison and Helen. And let's have a look. Now, you see, you only want suggestion because it's far away, and I'll be coming back to build on all of this. But for now, that will do. Did you get this foreground in? It was a big brush, quite a fairly big brush. We're going to cover a big area, and let's have a look and see. And it's just getting the right sort of mixture of the green and the blue. The yellow and the blue to make the right green you want, and I think I might do it. And we'll come back over all these headstones and get the shadows in, and that'll be the last session really. For now I just want to cover the whole area and see how it's all going. Yeah, and there we go. So now I'm going to make it a bit darker as it comes up a bit further forward. So that all that means really it's a bit more blue and a bit more paint to it. That's all really. And I might do it when it's wet. We'll see how we get on now. I'll mix a darker colour for shadow, like you got trees here. And let's have a look here. Well, let's see. Yeah, that'll do. So surprising, it dissipates when it's so wet. It you think it's quite dark, and it isn't really. It'll go. Watercolour dries so much later than when you put it on, and you've got to allow for that, or they look insipid otherwise. Now I might do a little bit darker again. I'll put a bit of burnt umber with it, and there we are. See, so, and then I can pick up these accents then later. But I think for now we don't want more than that. That'll be it for this session. Now, final session here. We're finishing off the painting. I've been explaining this is up in the Cascob Valley, a little church where I was a minister. My first church actually. And yeah, precious memories of times there, the early 20s, as I was saying. And so I used to walk up this way, often up the Cascob Valley, get my boots on from our man's house where we lived was in Achill, further down the valley towards Prestine. And we had precious memories of times here. And on one occasion I'd been to Yew Tree Farm, and then up the valley to Rectory Farm, and then Mrs. Price the Mill, and I was crossing back down the valley, and Raymond Thomas, one of the farmers, was deacon with us in the church, and he had barley to get in, and I said, can I help at all? And he said, well, can you drive a tractor? And I said, well, how hard can it be? So he had one tractor, I had the other, and it was dark by the time we finished in the night. And then this is what they call dragging, where you're just dragging paint along with paint that's underneath. And yeah, by the time we finished in the night, we got down to the farm, and Evelyn, his wife, she was she'd gone and got Gwyneth, and we all had supper together. So that was lovely. And yes, precious memories of our times there. And I said, you can do this, like, and get tufts in like that, just here and there. And then if you're to get some I think some of these need darkening a little bit, don't they? Just not much, just that little bit. Now let's get some gouache. What we could do, we could get the light catching the ends of those, like that. And on that one as well there. There we go. And then if we tint it with a little bit of green, we can do this, like we can get some tufts of grass in here like this. Just a suggestion. Don't want to do it everywhere, just here and there. Just a little bit. Oh, this will be hidden by the mount, I think. And let's just try them and see how we get on there now. Get them out. And I think we're more or less done. There we are. Could do with bringing the mount down a little bit if I was to mount it like that. But for now. So that's St Michael's up in the Cascob Valley.